Chapter 21. Trixie staring in horror as Knightley approached Lyra, sword in his aura. Lyra, for her part, took a defensive stance. Trixie struggled at her bonds. As long as she had the stupid goop on her, she was useless. Trixie growled frustration. She could see that she was actually starting to crack the cement under her. No matter how much she pushed herself, the goop still held her in place. Lyra jumped back and unleashed a barrage of arrows at Nightlight. He teleported away with no difficulty, but hitting him wasn't her intention. She ran towards the pile of books from earlier and picked one up with her magic. It appeared to be one Twilight used to learn the spell holding Trixie. She skimmed the pages. Nightlight shot a lightning bolt at her when he saw what she was doing. Lyra avoided the bolt by jumping to the right. Nightlight teleported and appeared behind Lyra. He shot a fireball at Lyra almost point blank. She wasn't able to avoid the ball of flame in time. It was blown across the street into a cart. It cracked in two and Lyra struggled to her hose. She honestly gasped when she saw the book she was trying to read burnt to cinders. "Nice try," Nightlight mocked. "Thought you could find a countermeasure to the spell my daughter hit Lulu with? Too bad." Trixie was sure to me Susan was grinding her teeth behind her mask right now. Lyra pawed the ground in annoyance. Nightlight teleported again, and Lyra was forced to defend herself from a barrage of sword strikes from the air. Lyra did her best to use her bow to defend against them. Caught up in his attacks, Nightlight got too close, and Lyra delivered a surprise kick to the face. Lyra used the strikes to shoot an arrow at Trixie. Trixie screamed in horror as projectile hit her straight on the chest and cried out in pain. "Ow! What was that for?" Trixie yelled. "Oops! I was sure that would knock you free," Lyra said sheepishly. "Well, it didn't," Trixie bit back. In fact, it didn't even move her. All it did was hurt. Nightlight watched him in amusement and laughing to himself. Trixie just glared down. "As amusing as this is, it's time to end this," Nightlight said, and Trixie tensed. Lyra, for her part, watched Nightlight carefully. She followed his movements as he circled her. "Agreed," Lyra said, nodding. "Okay, real tired of your crap." "Lyra!" Trixie said in a panic. This was really bad. "Relax, I got this," Lyra said. This did not comfort Trixie one little bit. Seconds passed like hours, and Trixie felt herself sweat in her armor. The two combatants did nothing but stare each other down, not making a move until the other did something. Then they moved. Lyra sprang forward with such grace and speed that caught Trixie off guard. Caught Nightlight off guard too. He soon moved forward to join her, pressed the button of his morpher as he charged. Electricity sparked and gathered around his sword, ready to unleash at a moment's notice. "Wrath of the King!" He threw the torrent of electricity down at Lyra and hit her dead on. She screamed in pain as Nightlight's ultimate attack bombarded her with energy. Somehow, though, she dug her hose to the ground with a howl. She ran forward, pushed her bow through the torrent and pointed right at Nightlight's chest. "Omega Arrow Crusher!" Lyra fired a burst of rainbow-colored energy at Nightlight's chest. He screamed and shot into the distance. The former Viceroy hit the ground, but he didn't stop. Instead, his momentum kept him bouncing. He crashed into carts and trees, but they didn't even stop him. Eventually, he hit a wall of building a few blocks away and disappeared inside. The intense energy and lightning scorched Lyra's armor black. She stood there like a statue for a few moments before falling to her knees. She unmorphed and collapsed unceremoniously to the ground. "Lyra!" Trixie cried out. "I'm fine," Lyra said in a weak voice that was almost impossible to hear, and gave out a small, inaudible laugh. "Finally got him. I don't think he's finished, though. I'll leave it up to you, Trix." She stopped speaking. Trixie feared the worst, but the moving of Lyra's chest up and down alleviated her fears. Trixie sighed in relief, but only for a moment. Lyra was right. Night was probably still out there. She was still stuck. How was she going to get out of this? Did the spell have a duration limit? She really didn't want to still be here when Nightlight got back. She turned to Twilight, who was still asleep on the ground. "Twilight!" Trixie screamed, praying this would wake the mare up. "Twilight!" Trixie tried again. "Twilight, damn you, wake up! I need you right now!" Still nothing. Trixie would not be deterred. She screamed her head off. Still nothing. "This is so stupid!" Trixie cried in frustration. She would kick the sleeping pony if it was possible to move at the moment. Trixie closed her eyes. It was all over. She was stuck and there was nothing to help her this time. Nightlight could be back any minute. A few moments later, she was proven right. The evil ranger stumbled out of the building and linked his way toward her. It seemed that Lyra hurt him pretty bad. He almost lost his balance for a moment, but soon he straightened up. Much to Trixie's surprise, he unmorphed. For a long moment, he examined his morpher. Much to Tracy's confusion, made a face. The Tracy saw and it gaped. A large crack was visible on the gem of his morpher. Tracy grinned. If he could be damaged that badly, then he had a chance to destroy them. Nightlight walked up to her and smirked. I bet you thought your pathetic friend actually defeated me for a moment there. Tracy sighed with genuine weariness in her voice. No, not really. It's never that easy. She looked the former noble in the eyes and was a little surprised at Nightlight's haggard and exhausted appearance. It was like he hadn't slept in days. It looked like it took an effort just for him to stand up straight. Did her fight really take that much out of him? Even after their worst fight, she never looked that bad. Nightlight examined the goop around Trixie. My daughter does nice work. Even I'm surprised I could cause her a spell to hold even a ranger. He gave Trixie a smug smile that said volumes of how much better he thought of his daughter's magical skills over Trixie. Yeah, Trixie said decisively. Nightlight's face became serious and thoughtful. He looked at his morpher back to Twilight. He paced back and forth, mumbling to himself. This might be a good opportunity for her. What are you talking about? Trixie didn't like the look Nightlight was giving her. If ancient ponies were able to perform it, why not me too? And I do share my daughter's gift for learning new spells. Nightlight walked up to his daughter and pulled out the prototype morpher she made. Aha! So she did bring it with her, just as I thought. Are you familiar with how the planetary gems were made? Trixie felt herself beginning to sweat. Well, not really. Delighted, she lied, not wanting to give him any ideas. The smile Nightlight gave her made her blood go cold. They were made by sacrificing ponies. But who's to say that the ritual can't be replicated today? You see, now, Nightlight, now you're matching up with Empty Room Nightlight. You can't be serious, Trixie sputtered. Why not? Nightlight said. Finally, my daughter will have her rightful place. Of course, there's the added bonus of having you out of the way. If it doesn't work, Nightlight shrugged, it'll at least make Twilight even more powerful. Nightlight teleported away. This didn't make Trixie feel any better. If the former normal was as good as his daughter at learning spells, there's no way this could end well for her. She prayed somebody would come rescue her. Somebody had to hear all those fireworks go off, right? It didn't take long for Nightlight to return with a book of his own. The book looked old and well-worn from use. Trixie really hoped the cover wasn't the leather it seemed to be. She tried to read the title, but too faded to read. The book was centuries old. He also had a bag that looked like chalk. I can't say I know exactly how the ancient ponies did it, but... Nightlight gave an unpleasant grin. I think I could improvise. If Twilight can invent new spells, why not me too? My powers should be able to bridge the gap. Nightlight opened the book in his hooves to a page and started reading. He grinned and nodded to himself. What the heck is that? Trixie asked, dread in her voice, gesturing to the book. Nightlight peered out from his book. This? It's something I acquired over the years. I live to collect knowledge, even if some points consider it taboo. Nightlight pulled out a piece of chalk and drew a circle around Trixie, and what appeared to be runes of some kind inside it. Nightlight started muttering to himself and consulted the book several times. He also made a circle around Twilight as well. For some reason, he put Twilight's morpher in her hose. Yes, that should do the trick, Nightlight said tearfully. It's actually quite simple. It's a modified power transfer spell. Only much more powerful. Unpowerful enough to take your life as well. You don't have to do this! Trixie said, frightened, and felt herself starting to panic. You should feel honored, Nightlight said. Give your life so somebody worthier can take your place. Nightlight breathed out. Finally, the world has the true element of magic. It's morphin' time! Jupiter! Nightlight transformed. She was still uncertain why he unmorphed in the first place. To save energy, maybe? Smiled smugly at her. His horn glowed a strange purple color that wasn't the color of his magic. Trixie struggled with everything she had against their bonds. The ground under her cried from the force of her struggling. This was not the way she was going to go. No way! Much to her amazement, the group was actually starting to break a little. No! Nightlight stopped what he was doing and saw a stunning blow at Trixie. She screamed and felt her body go limp. That's better. His horns started glowing purple again. The turtle's circles glowed a sickly red color. There was something wrong about it. Trixie couldn't place it, but this was against nature itself somehow. Trixie screamed. Her body, The pain was indescribable. It was like her being torn from limb, like her body was unraveling at the seams. She screamed until her voice went raw, but it even stopped into cries of pain. She was deeply aware, collapsing to the ground. She knew that Twilight used on her was gone, but Trixie found herself in so much pain that moving even a little was impossible. She welcomed the blackness that soon approached her. Twilight found herself floating in absolute darkness. It was calm and soothing somehow. She knew that there was something she needed to do, but for the life of her, couldn't think of what it was. Twilight closed her eyes and relaxed. Whatever it was could wait. Her eyes opened when she heard screaming. Who was that? It sounded familiar. Wait, she knew who that was. It was Trixie. She was in pain. Oh no. Trixie needed help. She was about to attempt to force herself awake when a strange, almost powerful warmth filled her body. It was like her blood was boiling. What was going on? Trixie's screaming was getting worse. Wait! Whatever was happening to Trixie related to her? Yes. Somehow that seemed right. There's something else as well. Twilight felt herself becoming stronger. It's like her magic was being supercharged somehow. She started in panic when Trixie's screaming became worse. It seemed to her that the power that filled her seemed to increase in relation to Trixie's pain. No, it couldn't be. Was Trixie's power being drained from her? How? Father. Twilight growled at the thought. She couldn't believe it. What he was doing was aberrant. It went against the laws of magic and everything she believed in. If he continued with this insanity, he would kill Trixie. That was what he wanted after all, wasn't it? Twilight screamed and flailed. She had to do something to wake up and stop this. She winced as the pain became worse, but ignored it. Trixie didn't have long. Twilight screamed her heart out, kicked herself hard. She mentally forced herself to wake up. Nothing. Despite everything, she was still trapped in the darkness. Trixie was going to die. She didn't even attempt to stop the tears that sought through her hose. While she didn't know Trixie long, Twilight thought of her as a friend. Trixie would die and it was all her fault for not being strong enough. And being able to stop her father. Only she could do something differently. Only she had been able to talk her father down. Trixie was going to die and there was nothing she could do about it. Twilight cried. Cried until there was nothing left to cry. All that was left was the pain and shame. As usual, she was a complete screw-up. Twilight thought barely. Never able to deliver when it really counted. Rarity was wrong. Her life was worthless. After all, she curled into a ball and floated there in the darkness. A strange thought hit her. If her father succeeded, Trixie would die, and it would make her the new element of magic. She would not only have the power to stop her father, but Corona and any other threat to Equestria as well. She could see herself clad in red armor, leading the other Galaxy Rangers in battle against Corona, sword in hoof. The other Rangers would accept her as leader and friend, maybe even a better leader than Trixie. She could become the hero she always dreamed of being. No. She couldn't be the element of magic. She didn't deserve it or earn it. Trixie fought long and hard with blood, sweat, and tears to become the Ursa Ranger. The elements already chose her to be their leader. Twilight knew they could not choose wrong. She couldn't. Won't accept the role. It was not hers to take. Twilight felt new resolve, and her horn glowed. She forced the magic out of her. It hurt. It was worse than anything she had felt before in her life. But Twilight didn't care. The power wasn't hers to take. It would be damned before she would accept any of it. Twilight would get this power back, even if it killed her. She sent the power back the same way it came through the link between her and Trixie. The power that was coming her way forced back even harder. But Twilight pushed back twice as hard. What was being thrown at her. She will not let Trixie die. Amidst all this, Twilight felt something in her chest. Warmth. Not the burning heat of the magic pushed into her, but gentle, comforting warmth, like a fireplace in a cold winter day. It made her smile. It was in the back of her mind. She felt something that felt like approval. Who? What? It made little sense, but she was certain she made the right choice. Trixie wasn't going to die. The thought was certain and clear in her mind. She knew what she had to do. A horn lit, and the entire realm of darkness shone a blazing, blinding light. Twilight opened her eyes. Somehow she was standing. Well, that meant little for the movement. She looked around. What had happened was a real mess. Like a shockwave hit the area. Benches, trees, and street lamps were torn asunder. Not a single piece of glass was left unbroken. Her father stared at her with obvious surprise, prone on the ground. Much to her relief, it looked like Trixie was still breathing. Her razor was on her side, covered with trash that was blown from her in the shockwave. Otherwise seemed unconscious. Twilight looked at her father with disdain, who was struggling to his hose, to be smashed to a metal fence. It Almost cost Trixie her own life, and she could never stand by that. She stared right at him in the visor. Twilight gripped the morpher that was their host, so tight heart. That's far enough, father! Twilight spat the last word. So I did a battle pose. Somehow she knew exactly what she needed to do. It's morphin' time! She thrust the morpher around in front of her. Corvus! There was a flash around her body, and there was her armor. She found a piece of broken glass and peered into it. Her armor was all white. The metal plating of her armor resembled feathers. They were long and jagged. Her helmet resembled her old one, instead of a beak. This one had a black visor that covered her whole face. It also had a constellation of Corvus and white stars in the front. Twilight turned away and stared at her father. She pressed the button on her morpher and summoned 2 guns to her hose. Their long and white resembled the beak of a bird. Much of Twilight seemed used with the futuristic weapons from a sci-fi movie. She pointed them at her father. One way or another, this is going to end, Nightlight. Your sins have finally caught up with you.